जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यमुनतीरावनचारि। यमुनतीरावनचारि। जय राधा माधवा जय बिहारी। राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन। यमुनतीरावनचारि। राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Gopijana Vallabha Radha Gopijana Vallabha Radhe. Jai Radha Gopijana Vallabha Radha Gopijana Vallabha Sri Radhe. Jai Nitai Patita Pavana Gaura Hari Jai Nitai Patita Pavana Gaura Hari. Jai Nitai Patita Pavana Gaura Hari Jai Nitai Patita Pavana Gaura Hari. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu. Jai Om Vishnu. Hamsa Acharya Stotra Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ananta Koti Vaishnava. All glory stars, all glory stars. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavatam 4th canto, 3rd chapter, talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Verse number 23. I think Yugal Kishore Prabhuji covered part of this verse yesterday. Again, we can recite the verse one more time. Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam Yadiyate Tatra Pumana Pavrataha Sattve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Adokshazo me namasa vidiyate. Sattvam visuddham vasudeva sabditam yadiyate tatra pumana pavrataha Sattve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadoshajo me namasa vidiyate.
Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabdite.
Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam
Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam.
Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam
Yadi Yate Tatra Pumana Pavgaha. Sattve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yad Yado Shajo me Namasa Vidiyate.
Yadoshajo me namasa vidiyate. Anyone? Yes.
Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudevam Shabditam.
Sarvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam
Yadi Yate Tatra Pumana Pavgaha.
Yadiyate Tatra Pumana Pavrataha
Sattve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo
Chatasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo
Yadokshyo Hamsa Vidiyate.
Yadoshajo me namasa vidiyate.
Sarvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Sabditam.
Sarvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam Yadiyate Tatra Pumana
Te chatasmin Bhagavan Vasudeva.
Sattve cha tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo
Yadi Sarvame Namasa Vidayate.
So, translation. Sattvam, consciousness. Visuddham, pure. Vasudeva, Vasudeva. Sabditam, known as. Yat, because. Iyate, is revealed. Tatra, there. Uman, the Supreme Person. Aparvata, without any covering. Sattve, in consciousness. Cha, and Tasmin, in that. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, Vasudeva. He, because Adokshaja, transcendental, me, by me, Namasa, with obeisances, Vidyate, worshipped. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. So yesterday, I think Yugal Kishore Prabhuji completed some of the purport, two paragraphs. So I will be starting from the action of the internal potency. Thank you. So the action of internal potency is also described in this verse as apavrataha, free from any covering, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His name, His form, His quality, His paraphernalia, etc., being transcendental or beyond material nature, it is not possible to understand any one of them with the materialistic senses. When the senses are purified by the discharge of pure devotional service, Hrishikena, Hrishikesa Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate. The pure senses can see Krishna without covering. Now, one may inquire that since factually the devotee has the same material existential body, how is it possible that the same materialistic eyes become purified by devotional service? The example as stated by Lord Chaitanya is that devotional service cleanses the mirror of the mind. In a clear mirror, one can see one's face very distinctly. Similarly, simply by cleansing the mirror of the mind, one can have a clear conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.8, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, by executing one's prescribed duties in devotional service, Chetasa Nanya Kamina, or simply by hearing about God and chanting about Him. If one's mind is always engaged in chanting and hearing and is not allowed to go elsewhere, one can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by Lord Chaitanya. By the Bhakti Yoga process, beginning from hearing and chanting, one can cleanse the heart and mind, and thus one can clearly see the face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva said that since his heart was always filled with the conception of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of the Supreme Lord's presence within his mind and heart, he was always offering obeisances unto that Supreme Godhead. In other words, Lord Shiva is always in trance, samadhi. This samadhi is not under the control of the devotee, it is under the control of Vasudeva. For the entire internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts under his order. Of course, the material energy also acts by his order, but his direct will is specifically executed through the spiritual energy. Thus, by his spiritual energy, he reveals himself. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.6. Sambhavami Atma Maya. Atma Maya means internal potency. By his sweet will, he reveals himself by his internal potency, being satisfied by the transcendent and loving service of the devotee. The devotee never commands, my dear Lord, please come here so that I can see you. It is not the position of the devotee to command the Supreme Personality of Godhead to come before him or to dance before him. There are many so-called devotees who command the Lord to come before them dancing. The Lord, however, is not subject to anyone's command. But if he is satisfied by one's pure devotional activities, he reveals himself. Therefore, a meaningful word in this verse is adokshaja, for it indicates that the activities of our material senses will fail to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the attempt of one's speculative mind. But if one desires, he can subdue all the material activities of his senses, and the Lord, by manifesting his spiritual energy, can reveal himself to the pure devotee. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals himself to the pure devotee, the devotee has no other duty than to offer him respectful obeisances. The Absolute Truth reveals himself to the devotee in his form. He is not formless. Vasudeva is not formless. For it is stated in this verse that as soon as the Lord reveals himself, the devotee offers his obeisances. Obeisances are offered to a person, not to anything impersonal. One should not accept the Mayavada interpretation that Vasudeva is impersonal. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Prapadyate, one surrenders. One surrenders to a person, not to impersonal non-duality. Whenever there is a question of surrendering or offering obeisances, there must be an object of surrender or obeisances. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalitam Sri Sakanutam Shankar He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Vasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktaram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you. So welcome to the Bhagavatam class today. I don't have any realization, and especially after Yugal Kishore Prabhuji spoke about this verse yesterday, I am not qualified to talk about this. This is a very, very elaborate purport that Prabhupada is giving here. Whenever Prabhupada thinks, if you can look into either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, if he thinks that the verse is very important, the instruction is very important, he writes an elaborate purport for that verse, and this verse is one of that. And the meaning of this verse is very, very, very deep. So here, Prabhupada is using two words, Vasudeva and Vasudeva. What is the difference between Vasudeva and Vasudeva? Vasudeva is the platform, and Vasudeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the person. So when Krishna was born, he manifested himself in Vasudeva's heart, and that is how he was born in Devaki's womb. So here, Prabhupada, in the very first section of this verse, he gives an example of the electricity passing through a copper, because of the electricity passing through a copper wire, the nature of that copper wire changes. Similarly, an iron put in the fire, when it becomes warm, it is red hot. It kind of changes. It acts like a fire. It is not fire, but it acts like a fire. Similarly, in the case of copper. So, this Krishna consciousness is something that manifests in everyone's heart if we don't have resistance. So what it means is, you take a copper wire and you pass electricity through that. Some of the electricity, it kind of gets lost. It kind of converts into heat. Some of you might have already know about this as part of your education. Um, there is a lot of research that goes on when these electric distribution companies, there are a lot of electricity is what they distribute from point A to point B. One of the major things that they do is how to minimize the distribution loss. What it means is, when they send it from one point to another point, not 100% of the electricity goes. There is some loss in the middle. It is because of the resistance that happens for the electron flow within that conductor. Similarly, when we look at our heart, Krishna is already in our heart as a Paramatma. So to manifest Krishna consciousness in our heart, it is, Prabhupada says, it is easy if there is no resistance in your heart. What is that resistance in our heart? The resistance in our heart is no attachment, no attraction to Krishna, no attachment to Krishna, but we are attaching to something else. So that is the resistance. Once you overcome that resistance, then the manifestation, the revealing of Krishna happens within your heart. So there is a beautiful prayer that Kunti Devi is praying, and she is saying, Tata Parama Hamsana Munim Amalatmana Bhakti Yoga Vidanadam Katam Pasyame Hi Striya. So what she is praying to Krishna, Krishna comes to Kunti Devi before he leaves, after the war, before he was about to leave, and he offers obeisances, and Kunti is praying to Krishna, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service into the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? So Prabhupada has the title of that chapter as the most intelligent woman. So when we have the intelligence, excuse me, it doesn't mean we have all the knowledge. The intelligence is when, excuse me, when you have the right mood to ask the right question. And that question is supposed to be in the mood of inquiry. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it has to be in the mood of inquiry. That is the intelligence we should have. Once you have that intelligence, Krishna can reveal and answer that question. So here what she is saying is, you are descending here, and you are meant for Paramahamsas. Who are Paramahamsas? They are Munis and Paramahamsas. So they are referring to, he is referring to who is very thoughtful, who are mental speculators, and also amalatmana. There is another kind of people who doesn't have anything, any dirty thing in their heart. These are the people, you are able to help. But how about us? I am a woman, and in Vedic tradition, Sudras, women, they were all kind of mentioned in one category. But who is she? She is at the topmost. She is the um, aunt of Krishna. And Krishna is coming and offering his obeisances. Because of her humility, she is asking that question. She is asking that question for us, actually. So here, what she is asking is, how we can reach that level, that transcendentalist level, or that level of amalatma, amalatmana. Thank you. So, what is Krishna's Krishna's answer? It is in Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi padna vyapasritya ye api syu papa yonina striya vaisya tata sudra tepi yanti paramam gatim. O son of Pratha, those who take shelter in me, though they are of lower birth, women, Vaisyas, or Sudras, can attain the supreme destination. So we had to take a shelter in Krishna. What exactly that means by taking shelter in Krishna? It means that if the resistance you have in your heart should be reduced somehow. And that will cleanse your heart. In the Sistastakam, Mahaprabhu gives us the very first verse is Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So you cleanse your heart. And when you cleanse your heart, the resistance will automatically go away. And that is how you reach that state. And bhakti, when we talk about bhakti, the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, it talks about Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. So we understand, what is transcendental knowledge, understanding the self, super self, and how you can realize the Paramatma with the Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and how to discriminate between the self and the matter. These are the subject matters for the first 6 chapters. But in the 7th chapter, we have the Bhakti Yoga part. So Krishna, he can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. What that means is, the transcendentalists, they may be looking at the Brahman realization, impersonal Brahman realization. It is easy to understand Krishna when you do the Bhakti Yoga, then the Brahman realization. So the yogis and jnanis, they are confused because of this. For example, Sankaracharya, although he has admitted in Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his followers, they don't follow that. It is very difficult to know Krishna like that, because you don't have the personal realization Krishna as a person. And Prabhupada in the purport clearly explains that when you have Krishna's manifestation in your heart, you offer obeisances. When we offer obeisances to a person, there should be a person to offer obeisances. You just go and say, Krishna is everywhere. I am offering obeisances to everything. It is not possible. Similarly, the other part of the purport, it says, you have to surrender. Prapadyate. So when you say, I am surrendering to someone, you don't surrender to nothingness. You don't surrender to everything. Then it is not a surrender. It is not surrender process. So that is another way of understanding. So you surrender to a person. Similarly, when we talk about a person, there is again a beautiful verse or a beautiful prayer that Kunti Devi offers. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So here Kunti Devi is saying, let me offer my respectful obeisances to the Lord who has become the son of Vasudeva. She is giving who is Krishna here. She is identifying who is the father of Krishna. The pleasure of Devaki, she is mentioning the mother, who is the mother. The boy of Nanda, she is kind of giving, where this boy is. And the other cowherd man of Vrindavan. When you talk about a person, you talk about all the other people who know that person also. And enlivener of cows and the senses. So here people will ask, who is what Krishna? There are so many Krishnas. Who is the Krishna? So she is kind of specifically saying, this is Krishna. Krishna's father is Vasudeva, and Krishna's mother is Devaki. And some transcendentalists say, he doesn't have any activities. God doesn't have any activity. But no, the God has activities. What are the activities? He always enlivens cows. He plays with the cowherd man in Vrindavan, and there is an address exactly where also. So that is the answer to the impersonalism. So when we say, God is everywhere, yes, God is everywhere, but he is again a person. Sun rays are everywhere, but there is a sun planet. So Prabhupada says, what is needed is unalloyed devotion. What is unalloyed devotion? Again, Kunti Devi, she is praying to Krishna. Tvaima Nanya Visaya Matir Madhupate Skarat Ratim Udvatad Adha Gange Ugam Udanti. O Lord of Madhu, as Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anything else. So that is what is called unalloyed devotion. She is actually kind of explaining what she wants from Krishna. So prior to this prayer, she says, please cut all my connections, all my relationships with my sons, with Pandavas, with my parental relatives, everyone. But it is not possible. It is not possible to cut your relationship with all your family. So what you can do is you can change the relationship with your relatives, with your sons, with your daughters, with your wife, your husband. You can change the relationship. The quality of relationship should be changed. So Prabhupada explains that you are changing it to make sure the attraction what you have is not towards your parents, not towards your children, not towards your relatives. The attraction should be towards Krishna. So that way you can say the quality of relationship enhances. And Krishna is looking for that, how much you are attracted to me, and I will be reciprocating similarly to you. So that is unalloyed devotion. That when you have that unalloyed devotion in your heart, the resistance goes down. When the resistance goes down, Krishna manifests just as he manifested in the heart of Vasudeva, that you can also make sure that he can manifest in your heart. So we have multiple examples. For example, if you have feeling for affection for others, that affection for others, it is a symptom of life. You cannot say, I cannot have affection to others. I want to completely erase the affection of the others in my heart. That is symptom of life. So just like you have desire, you have anger, you have hankerings, you have feelings of attraction. They all cannot be wiped out from your heart. They will stay there. Whatever way you try, they are not going to go anywhere. They will stay. So the only objective is the desire. For example, desire. It cannot be negated, but the desire can be changed for the service of the Lord in place of sense gratification. If I have a desire, for example, say, um, I would like to sing and become a big singer, um, then you can sing for Krishna. And there are multiple examples where Prabhupada encouraged people to make sure that they are converting their talents towards serving Krishna. So that is what the um, the actual you can say Guru's responsibility. Guru's responsibility is to look at the disciple and say, these are the qualities of these vasanas, we call it as. We are carrying some vasanas from our some impressions from our previous life to this life. But based on those impressions, one will become an actor, one can become a musician, one can become a big CEO, whatever may be the case. But when he notices those impressions, how those qualities can be converted so that that person can start serving Krishna. So Guru is the facilitator to do that. And once he fine tunes you with that direction, the right direction, how to change your um, inner abilities to serve Krishna, then you can have a unalloyed devotion to Krishna. Um, but the biggest impediment is the attachment. That how this attachment can be purified. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.10, Vetaraga Bhayakrodho Mama Maya Ma Upasrita Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Utama Bhavam Agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they are attained transcendental love for me. So the first thing is how we can get out of that attachment. That is the biggest thing. Everything has to look into. There are like when you have something and the other person has nothing, or vice versa, right? So there is this feeling of blackness. You lack something when you look at the other people, right? And then just because you don't have it, then you'll say, yes, I need to have it. That is how the desire comes in. That is how you kind of attach to that person, to that object. So in those type of circumstances, what we had to do is to see, is it really going to help me? Is that going to develop or help me in developing the devotional service, devotional attitude? If it is not, let's kind of let that person have it. Instead of you feeling envious or jealousy, you will feel actually pity towards that person, because that person is kind of bound by that attachment, whereas you are free from that attachment. So that is very important in developing the uh, unalloyed devotion. And this whole process that Prabhupada kind of gave us, in 1966, he has established ISKCON in New York. It was incorporated. Actually, this week, last Monday was the Tithi, not the actual day. The actual day was July 13th. Uh, the Tithi, according to Tithis, it was actually this week on Monday, the incorporation happened. And Prabhupada clearly outlines in the purposes why he established, why he incorporated. Um, the very first purpose is systematically propagating spiritual knowledge into society at large and educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life. So, what are those techniques? So, he did not manufacture any techniques. He just gave us what is in Shikshastakam, and the very first instruction from Mahaprabhu is cleanse your heart. So how you cleanse your heart? He gave us 16 rounds of chanting. And then yesterday, I don't know how many of you attended uh, Yugal Kishore Prabhuji's session in the evening. There are 5 S's that, it is first, uh, first one is, you have to do sadhana. S is the first S is sadhana. So how you do the sadhana? 16 rounds of chanting. That is how you do the sadhana. And the other thing is, propagating Krishna consciousness as it is in the scriptures of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So as we are having discussion here, we need to regularly read scriptures. That is another S that he has explained yesterday. So with those two, the sadhana of japa and also reading scriptures, you will get the knowledge that will tell you to seek for a spiritual guide, spiritual master. So that is the essence of the practice that Prabhupada mentioned. Once you have the spiritual guide, then the spiritual guide will be leading you to see how you can develop that unalloyed devotion. So it is 9:15. So I will end the class here. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to share about this verse.
No,
Yesterday we covered, first part of the purport, and we covered the second part today. Any questions online? I cannot see who is online here. Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. Jai. Disconnect.
You ended the
Everyone.
and for all.